All right, I call to order the Board of Township meeting for May 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Today, our clerk is out on a family emergency, so I'd like to make a motion to appoint Treasurer Paul Brown to be the secretary for this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Paul, you get to be our secretary. Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please, Paul?
Give me a second. I'm a little slower filling this information out.
Okay.
Got to get it right. Supervisor File?
Here.
Clerk Newbeck is out. Treasurer Brown here. Trustee Hayward?
Here.
Trustee Morocco?
Here.
Trustee Nalamatu?
Here.
Trustee Tedder?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Next on the agenda, I would like to make an amendment to the agenda as presented to add in a presentation under H regarding the CIP projects. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment, please?
I motion to approve the amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then I would like a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank
Who
you.
seconded that?
I did.
Terry.
Thank you.
Hayward.
Oh, I
yeah,
made it, you're
sorry,
right.
he made it, I seconded.
Terry seconded it, David Hayward.
We
made
had
the
two
motion.
motions, so the first one was Tedder, and
To
to
add.
amend it.
Yep,
But the amendment was seconded by
Hayward.
Hayward, okay.
I'll slow down.
Okay.
Okay, the next on the agenda is the board and public announcements. Announcements are anything specific of a state of fact. It is, if you do, please come up to the mic, give your name, your address, and you'll have 5 minutes to make it. Understand that both during the public announcement and the public comments, the board does not interact. Both those items should not relate to anything on the agenda specifically. So at this point in time, does the public have any announcements? Public announcements. Announcements are specific of the state plan. It is, just in case you wanted to hear it twice because it was so good the first time. Okay. Anybody on the board have any announcements? Trustee Tedder.
I have the May Coffee and Conversation scheduled for the 16th of May. It's going to be at the Senior Center. We had a really nice turnout in April, and so being that Leo's is a great venue, but it's rather loud, and I think we're running out of space. So welcome anyone, certainly from the board and the public, to join me for Coffee and Conversation, May 16th, 8:30 at the Senior Center.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the board have any other comments or announcements? No? Okay, then I'll close board and public announcements. Next, public comments. The board members, after being recognized by the chair, individuals in the audience may address the township board. Speakers must come to the podium, which is the mic there in the middle, identify himself or herself, limiting their comments to not more than 5 minutes, identifying yourself as your name and your address, regarding items that do not appear on the agenda. So at this time, do we have any public comments? Yes, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Margaret Balanowski. I live at 5508 Sheringham Boulevard in Clarkston, Michigan. I'm on the Sheringham Place Homeowners Association Board, and we're trying to find out what the status is on the SAD program, the roads program. Our sister sub last year took advantage of, that's Sheringham Woods, took advantage of the SAD program for the roads, and Chestnut Hill's next to us, and we have started some of the preliminary analysis, the core samples of our roads. We have a very nice sub, and we'd like to keep it that way. And we've looked into the Oakland County program, but we feel our roads are more appropriate for the SAD program. And we had a point of contact and like a agenda or a list of things to get done, but we've been unable, and maybe we're just not talking to the right person, to find out what the process is, either for this year, it might be too late for this year, or at least to plan for 27. It's very important for us to be proactive because we know that we have to get signatures from all the homeowners and stuff, and we're trying to coordinate that. So if we could either, if it's more appropriate to be on the agenda in an upcoming meeting, or if someone could provide the name and number of whom we could get to, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I should remind everybody that the board does not interact during public comments, but follow up with me after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else with yes, sir, please come on up. State your name, address.
Can I give you guys a packet? I emailed it out to everybody, but I have a hard copy here.
Sure.
I have mine.
Sure, you got yours?
Yep.
There's a couple extra things on there that you see in the back, so I will give you one anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, my name is Walter Adam Kozarski. I live at 9575 Hadley Road, Clarkston. Some of you kind of know a little bit about this. I did email all of you. Please check that Google Drive that I sent, because the pictures I have in that packet, don't do it justice. If some of you saw it in person too, the pictures don't even do it justice as far as the video and pictures that are on there. But the reason I'm here is there is not a minor but a major issue with water at our property. A lot of my neighbors are here. We've got friends and family here as well. But this is an ongoing issue. We noticed a change in about 2020 and communicated with the township because we saw potential for a bigger issue. Nothing really happened at that time. A little bit of communication back and forth. But now, starting last year and this year, we're talking 3 feet of water on areas of just our backyards where my kids play, where my dog plays. Some of my neighbors even have areas where there might be 6 or 7 feet of water that is just not normal. We have contaminated wells with E. coli. Couldn't use our well last year for 3 months. Our well is contaminated now. Currently, we cannot use it. It's going to cost me anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 to potentially raise the well. So if this happens again, it'd at least be protected. I hope this doesn't happen again, but it's an older well and it's going to be very expensive. Don't want to do that, but I might have to. Oakland County Health Department's been out there. The sanitation guy's been doing this for 20 years. He said he's never seen flooding like this for a well in Oakland County. It's the worst he's ever seen. That document is on there from Oakland County. We have driveways completely submerged. Neighbors couldn't leave. I'll have them talk more about that. They were stuck at home. Water seepage into saturated septic fields, seepage into tri-level. My tri-level is a finished lower level with crawl space, my daughter's bedroom and our living room. If we get more water into there, I'm losing almost half my house. And then just property damage, down trees. There's pictures of there. You can see the trees and everything. And yes, that is a photo of a goldfish swimming on our driveway, as you can see in the photos there. You can see videos and photos in that Google Drive that I included for everybody. And one financial impact too for all of us as neighbors is our houses are essentially worth nothing right now. They are unsellable. You can't sell them like this. And we continue to pay property taxes, mortgages, and insurance on property that really can't do anything with if we wanted to move. The emails you'll also see in there back and forth from the township. There was a lot of communication. The two sources are the church retention ponds that are not being maintained. A lot of the emails all cover that. They were going to have that covered back in 23. You can see in the one email, Brian Ottman said multiple times it'll be taken care of, be taken care of. It was never taken care of. He said in that one email, by the end of 23 it'll be taken care of. Was not. And then we have a wetlands, unfortunately, down the street that is dumping water. It was altered, it was changed. There's a new trench, and that water is pouring down into our properties and in doing this. So, sorry, I'm probably talking fast because I know I got not a lot of time here. And then the one thing too, I won't get into the law stuff on here, but the state and Eagle did assure me and tell me that the township is responsible for what's called the Michigan Natural Flow Doctrine, and that requires natural flow to be maintained in a way that does not unreasonably harm neighboring properties. Well, that's what's happening, so that's why we're asking for help. So our request to the Board of Trustees, please take immediate leadership in addressing this issue, coordinate with whatever state, counties, or state, county agencies, DPW, Road Commission, MDOT, Health Department, Eagle, all the departments that need to be involved. Please enforce ordinances, regulations that need to be enforced. And it was recommended to us before we came here to get a survey. Survey's cost is, we found out, thousands of dollars, if not for our situation, tens or $20,000. We can't do that. We can't spend that kind of money on a situation we did not create. It's just affecting us. We need the township to do something like that. And in closing, this issue was preventable. I brought it up many times to Brian Ottman, to the township, and it wasn't taken care of. Even in, like I said, in '23, they said they were going to take care of it. They did not. So we're not asking for temporary fixes. We're asking for accountability, enforcement, and permanent solutions so that we can live in our homes without worrying about this anymore. Some of us, may want to move here in the future. We cannot move. I'm in real estate. You cannot sell a property and not disclose all of this because you will be sued after. That's the situation that we're in. So we respectfully ask for your immediate attention and action on this. And that's it. Thank you.
Right on the button. Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir, please come up, state your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name's Joe Dwyer. I live at 9561 Hadley Road in Clarkston. I am just going to piggyback on a lot of what Adam said. I have been at my house, I've lived there now for 20 years, and this is on the water issue. We never had an issue with the water. The area of my property up by Hadley Road, every year always got just a little bit of water. And it usually happened in the spring, snow melt, the spring rains, that would happen, we'd get a little bit of water. As Adam stated, starting in 2020, every year the level kept rising. Starting last year, my driveway was under, the actual driveway, and it's got to come up 4 or 5 feet just to get to my driveway, was under 2 foot of water. We couldn't get in and out. This year, it was even deeper, and it's happened twice this year, right? I couldn't get out for 4 days. The second time, we had to park at the church next to us, walk through the woods to get to our vehicles. So if we had an emergency the first time, nobody could get in and out. And that's just not safe. Number two, the water, because it's rose so high, is eroding my driveway, which is a paved driveway. The dirt on the side of my driveway has been fine for 20 years, or call it 16 years. In the last 3-4 years, I have to now bring in a bunch of gravel, a bunch of dirt, work that I shouldn't have to do. We've lost numerous trees because of the standing water that has cost us, me and my wife, thousands of dollars to take care of, get cut down, taken away. So what we're requesting that the township do is everything that Adam said. We don't really want this like somebody say, we're going to look into this. We really need some action done. This is being done by one of our neighbors up the street. I mean, you just have to go up the street and look. There's a straight trench dug from a pond right out to the road by a culvert that diverts the water down to us. We are not, and my property is not his dumping field, right? That's not the way it's supposed to work. My property is not supposed to be where he wants to dump his pond water into. Also, the church, and we've been trying to be good neighbors for a while, understand that it's a church and they have money issues, but they haven't maintained their pond. They've been there as long as I've been there. They've been there for 20 years. They should be maintaining their pond. I understand that they can raise money, they can do things. This should have been taken care of. In 2023, I understand the emails came out that said it'd be fixed by the end of the year. Well, what they did is on the back pond, there's 2 ponds. On the rear pond, they put in a relief valve. They dug a ditch, put a big PVC pipe with a valve on it, guess where that water dumps into? My property. And you can see it when they're really dumping it, it meanders all the way down to where the flooding is. It comes through. So they didn't take care of the problem. Yes, they lowered the level of their retention pond, but again, they're putting it onto my property. They're not supposed to be able to do that. So again, we're requesting the board to please do something about this for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please come up. Name and address.
Adam Rosmanowski at 5531 Morgan Lake Drive. I'm in phase 2 of Clearview's Eagle Ridge Estates. And this is something we addressed last year during some of these board meetings with the construction traffic. And just wanted to readdress, as of recently, about 3 weeks ago, we had a contractor at about 11:30 p.m. Drive through the phase 2 subdivision and then drove through about 3 or 4 properties, their lawns. And about maybe half hour prior to it, kids were out playing. We had addressed before of having a construction entrance, so then this could be diverted. We had brought that to the board here and didn't have any solutions, and the construction entrance would be going to Row Road, and that was it sounded like a difficulty thing to figure out, but now we had said a situation might happen. Now it has happened, and then from now, summer's coming up, construction's probably gonna pick up. Clearview did address the contractor and address that, and we appreciated that, but having accountability of just another entrance, because construction picking up, kids gonna be out longer in the summers. Our biggest concern is that this situation might turn into something maybe a little more drastic. So having a construction entrance, the construction vehicles will never come through any of the neighborhoods, especially if it's before or after hours. And we just look to see if we can have this addressed again to find a solution before something else might happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any public comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to address, Terry Cantor, I don't live on the property, what they're discussing with the pond, but I'm friends with the Dormans, and I'm a general contractor, and,
Name and address.
I still need your
Terry
name.
Cantor,
Just give me your.
8318 Mill Point Court, Goodrich.
Okay,
I'm sorry, the name again?
Terry Cataret.
thank you.
So, the Dormans asked me to look at it, and the folks are correct, and they don't want to have any issues with their neighbors. But I think to point the finger at them, the water at one point had gone over top of the road. The county had put a culvert in. It was not the Dormans that put the culvert in. It's been there, and the lady that's sitting here, Donna, she's been there for 50 years. She said the water used to back up, then the county came in and put in this culvert. So this is not something that the Dormans has created. They would certainly be helpful if they could in some kind of solution. And I do have a letter. I could read it into the record if you'd like, or just give you a copy, whichever you prefer.
Either one.
So I have some points, and again, the neighbors are right. The
I will
water
need a
is-
copy of it, though, if you're gonna read it.
Yeah, I'll give you one. Yep, I have copies for each. I'll just read it real quick. The culvert and drainage system predate the ownership of the Dormans and have not been altered by them. They have performed no redirection of water nor installed any culverts. The township has already indicated it appears to be part of a county drain system issue. This is a natural drainage and topography where the water flows, especially during periods of rain and seasonal runoff. And that's evidenced by the county back 47 years ago, whatever it's been, that put the culvert through there because that's the natural flow of the water. They contacted the township proactively, and they want to cooperate fully. Allegations being made against them about that they caused this is unsupported and speculative on their part. Oakland County Road Commission, it's their culvert, and they have that authority. They simply want the record to accurately reflect that they did not create or alter these conditions. The pond was already there when they bought the property from the county back in around 2005. They did not create the pond. They've never dredged it deeper or made it larger. The property is essentially in the same condition it was purchased, other than, leaves and trees and stuff. This is a long-standing drainage situation, not something newly created by them. Other than seasonal leaves and generally leaf cleaning, they haven't done and created this. So, I do have a few photos also. Can I come up?
Sure.
So, this is the Dorman's property, and this is their barn in the back, and you can see they also have water that comes up. I don't have a copy of all the pictures. If you'd like, we can send them. And they have, this is their the Dorman's property, and they have water in the front yard, the same. And actually, I just left there, and the little ditch, or whatever you wanna call it, that leads to the culvert is about that deep. And I do have a copy of it on my phone, but they don't have a photo. This is actually where the culvert is, that goes under Hadley Road. And all this water sits there, it doesn't even go under fast enough, so they have the same issue. But obviously, the culvert was put there by the county. So this is the pond that's in the back. This is the little ditch that goes through here, and the culvert and Hadley Road is up here. This is the water that's trying to go across the road. It's the natural flow of water. Yes, there's a drainage problem for sure, but probably the church might have had something to do with it, because even Donna, that's been there 50 years, she said she didn't know it was a big problem until the church came there. So whether it's that, I don't know, but I also wanted just to give that side.
Okay, those pictures, can we have those pictures?
I can't, he gave me these.
Yeah.
Can I email them? Can I give it to him? You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm gonna give you the letter that I just wrote, read.
That day.
Do you have a card? I don't. Okay. Did I give you a copy?
No, I got one here. Thank you.
I think that's all I have.
Okay, good. Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am, please come on up.
This is a contract.
Name and address.
I'm nervous.
That's okay.
I'm Marcia Davis, 9595 Hadley. I'm not here to lay blame, or I don't really know what caused this, but all I know is we've lived here 46 years. I just was talking with my kid, all three of my kids. They all grew up here. My daughter was born here, and she's my youngest. Anyways, I asked them, I said, do you recall ever having water issues? They used to play in there. They had a fort in there, in this low spot that's kind of where all of it goes, and then it spreads from there. And they said, no, we had a fort there. You know, they said, once in a while there might be a little water, but all I know is the last 2 years, there was a vast change. I don't know what caused it, who caused it, I'm not blaming. But it's definitely a huge change. And it's, you know, it's, every time it rains now, we're afraid, you know, what's gonna happen. So it does need to be addressed and fixed, so.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, sir, please come on up. Name and address.
My name's Aaron Bartel. I live at 5532 Morgan Lake Drive in Eagle Ridge Estates, and I just wanted to add to something my neighbor Adam said earlier. We have an entrance that goes from Roar Road, from the construction area to Roar Road, is blocked off right now. I don't understand all the specifics on why we can't open that up. I know the residents on Roar Road are not happy if we were to open it up. I think Sam Morocco can speak more intelligently about that than I can, but we have video of this contractor that drove across probably about 4 or 5 lawns, and it stopped just short of hitting someone's house and going right into their garage. So I really would like to see the help of this team here to look into this, to see what we need to do to get that entrance that's already there opened so the construction traffic can go out. The developer, Clearview, is in favor of doing whatever needs to happen to have their construction equipment come in through that entrance. But again, I don't understand all the bureaucracy of what it takes from the township to make that happen. So I just ask for your support in that. And I say this seriously, not to be overly dramatic, but The next time you see me here, I'll be coming to tell you that, you know, one of our children's died. One of our kids have died because this is a serious incident, and I can provide the video to anybody who wants to see it. But there were kids out there playing about 30 minutes prior to this contact and driving over the lawns, and we warned this was going to happen. It happened, and I don't want to come back here and tell you that we've lost one of our neighborhood kids because some type of rig got out of control. So please give me your support in that.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yep, please come on up, state your name, address.
My name is Linda Dorman. I live at 9632 Wesley Road, Clarkston. My concern is I've lived at this house for 46 years. In fact, when we bought the house, we didn't even know that pond existed. We bought it, it was a quick thing, and we bought it. And yeah, it's been a problem with some pumps and things like that. But until that church was built, we never had as much flooding. I could hear that some pump, when I'd go in the basement, like a fire hose was running. It changed something. And with the building in Deerwood coming towards our house, it changed it again. It hasn't been a real issue until the last couple of years, and they were correct in saying that. But this isn't my problem. I didn't create it. That pond has not been dug out. That trench was there when I bought the house. There was a tree in it last year, and we scooped it and put it to the side. But that's it. We never went to the road, digging it deeper, or changing anything by the road. And you can come out and look at it, all of you. It has not changed. And so if there's a problem, why are you harassing me? So that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
The culvert was there because 57 years ago, this woman lived across the street from me, and when it rained, it washed down, took out her driveway, went down to M15. People used to have to walk from M15 to their houses. That was the only way to get there. Then the county put in the culvert, and they diverted it into that little end of the property where the church is, and there was never a problem until that church was built. So, you know, that wasn't my problem. I wasn't there 50 years ago. I did not put the culvert in. So, that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Justin Combs, 9617 Hadley Road, Clarkston. I will support the rest of the folks here. There's something that has changed in the last 2 years. I think both sides would simply agree that the amount of water that we have seen across the road and the driveway has not been remediated or is not being remediated. So for me, analytically, there's something that's changed, whether it's a culvert that was dug, whether they're not maintaining it. I can't speak to that because I don't have the evidence. But what I can tell you is that my driveway is constantly underwater during heavy rain periods. That has changed. We have not seen historic flooding here. We're not in 100-year floods or any of that. So again, something has changed. So I think my request, slightly different than everybody else's, somebody has to get to the bottom of what's causing it, because at the end of the day, we have neighbors that can't use a well. We have neighbors that can't get across their driveway. Their home values are plummeting, and that's on everybody to, you know, determine how we solve this. We're all a community, and we have a problem. And so my ask is that you guys put every effort or resource into solving this problem, and we're not here, I'm not pointing any fingers, but it's a problem. And something's changed in the last 2 years. What that is, I can't speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Shelley Gurecki, 9623 Hadley Road, Clarkston 48348.
I'm sorry, can you speak into the mic a little bit? It's hard for me to
Sorry,
hear.
I'm nervous. I will try to speak up.
Can you say your name and address again, please?
Shelley Gurecki, 9623 Hadley Road, 48348.
you.
Thank you. I am not techie, and I'm not good at computer stuff. I literally have a map drawn in colored pencil and pen, and a bunch of it is just indicating, you guys send somebody from the township and they come driving, you know, I see them drive down the road and they kind of just drive and drive back. And they can see what they see. And I know many neighbors have submitted many pictures, and then that's just a picture of each property. So I made a map, and it has a legend, and it explains where culverts are blocked, where water is coming from, where, you know, things are. I'll just hand it to you. I don't have any copies.
You can give it. Oh, I'll pass, yeah. Yep, you got it. Yep, thank you.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate you guys so much for having us, and I appreciate some of the people that have come and given us audience so far. And a lot of what else I wrote down is been kind of stated by everybody else. And, you know, we're all good neighbors, and we all try to take care of each other. And it became really so bad, like, people couldn't leave their houses. We were in contact with each other and concerned about use of, you know, offering services of like use of toilet, come and take a shower, do your laundry at my house, trying to get drinking water. We were concerned with our one neighbor in particular about food, because they were in there for days and days and days it went on. So, sorry, I'm very nervous. I'm sure you can see. Please work hard and cut through all the red tape and come up with a temporary and permanent solution for us, and keep us whole. And thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Very well done.
Okay.
It's a point across.
Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Claudia Kozarski, and I live at 5330 Greenview, the other side of the problem. I am also known as Nana. So I have watched many things concern me, of course. My son's property is underwater. But my biggest concern as Nana is my grandchildren's health. And there, as stated by Joe, sometimes his property is 5 to 7 feet of water. That's a muddy area. It butts right up to my children's property. And I fear for the children slipping, being curious or whatever, and drowning. Not to mention the well. They're literally having to go to a different area to do their, which is our house generally, to do their wash, to take their showers, to have meals, you know, out of concern of possible E. coli damage, illnesses. The fact that my grandchildren can't play in their yard. There's many issues, as you've heard. My concern is that my grandchildren and the whole family, the little family, how it's affecting them emotionally. We have children who can't play in their yard. They're having to relocate for showers and food and this, that, and everything, and then they have to go to school and work the next day. Now, my one granddaughter, who's very sensitive, well, they both are, they're children, is having nightmares about water coming up, and she can't get out. So I am, from a Nana's point of view, very, very concerned about the situation. I come here asking for help. I come here asking for coordination. I ask to look at this like if it was your family, you know, your children, your grandchildren, you were watching their lives just tumble because of a water situation. So I request that you really consider this as a team. we have to be a team. You can see we have to be a team. And we're not putting blame on anybody. We just want help. And so I ask that you educate yourself about it, go from the heart and soul of parents and grandparents, and just help my family, please. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, please come up, give your name, address.
My name is Belinda Billings, 6025 Cedar Bend. I do better at reading a statement, so thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to take a few minutes to voice my support for these residents facing flooding issues, and I support a change in our township ordinances. I have been a very vocal supporter of dredging and maintenance of storm basins for many years. I live in an HOA that has neglected to dredge for 34 years. These basins act as a large, wet compost pile over the years and eventually fill up with muck and invasives that are displacing the space originally designed for stormwater. Independence Township Municipal Code, Article 5, Section 12-119J, already calls for maintenance agreements for all detention basins to ensure that such facilities are adequately maintained. Unfortunately, this ordinance is referring to new construction and does not cover aging infrastructure. And aging infrastructure is causing most of the current flooding issues in our township. The need is urgent. Please work on changing our ordinance to also include all older basins within the township immediately. I'll quote a section of the Township Master Plan. Quote, "The objective is to recognize the importance of older existing neighborhoods and take positive action to ensure their viability through investments in neighborhood conservation, infrastructure, and code enforcement." End quote. Please take the necessary action called for in our master plan and appropriate funds to enforce regulations to protect and conserve our aging infrastructure. Some people hate development, but if you live in a community or a subdivision, your home was most likely built on land that was once open space or farmland. As development has increased, so has the need for capacity of our stormwater systems. I don't think development will stop, but I'm asking you to please take the necessary steps to enforce maintenance of our aging infrastructure to ensure the protection of residents and their properties going forward. Some flooding is already happening. You are the trustees and supervisor and guardians of our township for our residents. You have a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of all residents. Please act on this very critical concern of so many. Thank you for your time and attention to this very pivotal and urgent need.
Thank you. Any more public comments? Yep, please come on up. Name and address, please.
Ray Llewellyn, 9254 Pine Knob Road. I don't think that this has been mentioned previously, but with the passing of Dr. O'Neill, he was a very pivotal person in this community. He didn't come in here and just be a doctor and fleece the community for dollars. He gave to this community. And he looked at this community, as some would say, a Norman Rockwell community. And he gave much to this community besides medical care. He donated his time to the community. He donated to various groups and activities. So I just think that we should all take a moment and remember Dr. O'Neill. Thank you.
Any other public comments? No? Okay, I'm gonna close public comments here. Any public comments online? Nope, okay, I'm gonna bring it up to the board. Any public comments from the board? Nope, okay. Then I'm gonna close public comments, and we're gonna move on to public hearings, which there aren't any. The next thing I would like to do is, which y'all might want to hang around for, is a presentation report on the CIP projects. This is an item that the board has worked collaboratively on. I want to kind of walk through it. We've been talking over the last couple of meetings about the general fund and the money that we have available and some of the projects that the township's looking at. One of the things that, I decided to do is go through and put together a high-level project plan for these CIPs. And do you want to hit the bottom right slide? Bottom right, keep going. Oh, you passed it right next to the sliding bar. One more over, right there. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So the purpose of this is to establish the clear ownership of all the CIP projects. One of the things that kind of came out of the last couple of meetings is that it looked like I was driving them all. And I thought that would probably make more sense if we worked together collaboratively as a board. So we're going to go through and talk a little bit about that, talk about the accountability of the leadership and how we're going to put that together, talk about a little bit of, and again, all this is at a high level, about how we're going to integrate the township staff that we have and the resources we have, and ultimately what we're going to be giving towards the public at a point in the future. Next one, please. So what I came up with is, and we talked about, is that each one of us on the board will have their own CIP project that they're going to chair. And they're going to be able to go through and put that together based and run it the way they think that makes sense. This way they can go through, and each project is a little bit different. So a methodology, it doesn't make sense to come up with one methodology for everyone. It kind of made more sense for let each one of these CIP projects be driven by a chair member, which is the board member here. Obviously, what we're going to do is they're going to look at it, look at the data and the analysis, look at the scope, cost, timing, and ultimately bring it back to the board for a recommendation going forward. So again, the board members are going to own the outcome and the direction. So each one of us will take on a project, and then we're going to be utilizing the staff here and the resources here at the township to figure out how to facilitate it. No one individual CIP project is going to get more special attention than another one. They're all going to be equally treated. They're all going to be given the resources they need to be able to flush out and come up with recommendations. Next one. Again, the chair is accountable. So again, we're accountable. The liaison are the ones that are bringing the capacity to us. And again, they're going to see in the next slide where we go through and we assign them. So storm drainage. There we go. All you over here, then everyone you're talking about. If you're wondering why I kept on handing things down to Trustee Hayward, that is because, God bless him, he has taken on what I would consider probably one of the most challenging issues that is facing the township. Because of the nature of it, you are usually getting more than 3 to 4 government agencies that are going to be involved and have their fingers in their opinions and doing a lot of this type of stuff. But he's going to be the point person on this. He's going to pick up that project and start taking a look and figuring out what can be done, how it can be done. From the town hall, we're going to have Dave McKee, who is our director of the Department of Public Works and Waters. They're going to be working together to figure out how to put this plan together. And each of them, like I said, will come up with their own ways and methodologies of going through and putting this together. The senior center is going to be chaired by Jim Tedder, Trustee Tedder, and he's going to be working with Jennifer Angus, who is our supervisor of senior activity in the senior center over there. Open space is going to be chaired by Sam Morocco, backed up by the liaison of Brian Ottman. Hospital. This is a pseudo one. Okay, we're not going to go and buy a hospital or start a hospital. Okay, that's not what I mean by this. What we look at is that about 10 years or more, we were looking at from a township standpoint and trying to get a hospital to come into the township. It's ridiculous, I think, that we are basically 40,000 people and we have to get in an ambulance and go for a 30-minute ride wherever we're going at a minimum for care. So in here, we have a couple big parcels of land here that are owned by hospitals. It is more of a state level type thing, but Trustee now Matthew has agreed to take a look and see if we can't get something done to bring a hospital to the township. This is not something that's going to happen overnight by any stretch of the imagination, and it's a very, very heavy lift because of all the state regulations, but she's willing to chair it and try to go through, and I'm going to try to help her on the backside with that as well. Town hall. Again, we've been talking about what do we do with the town hall. There's some things that need to get done, from everything from security to size to layouts. Does it make more sense to go build one, or does it make more sense to rehab this one? I think that'll be headed up by Treasurer Paul Brown, and he will be working with the Director of Building, Dave Moran. Parks is going to be headed up by Clerk Newbeck. She's not here tonight. She had a family emergency, and she will be working with the Director of Parks and Recs, and that's Lisa Christensen. And then ultimately, the police, what are we doing with the police? We've got a ton of problems with the county and how that's going. Not in this, from the sheriffs themselves, the sheriffs themselves are doing a fantastic job. It's how are we gonna relate and work with the county going forward? They're kind of like in the middle of all this for whatever reason. I'm gonna be working with Chief Bechet to go through and talk and address that. So each one of us have our own little pet projects. I shouldn't say pet projects, CIP projects. And if you have an interest in any of these are the chair people, these are the one people that you want to get a hold of. I probably should have put their email address up. I apologize, I didn't do that. But if you need right now afterwards, come talk to us. We'll be more than happy to help address you.
Online, right?
Yeah. Who said that? Well, that was a very loud, booming voice. I thought you were in the mic. Yes, it is. All of them are online if you go to the township website.
Are they all consistently just our first initial, last name, and INDTWP?
First initial, last name, at INDTWP. Yes, they should be consistent with that way. Yeah. Okay. The next slide, please. Again, my thing is that I want to make sure that the train leaves the station. Too long, we've had conversations, much like I'm sure you guys feel, about, yes, we'll look into it, we'll try to do it, whatever. Those days are done. I mean, at least as far as I'm concerned, that's part of the reason why I started off the way I did. Seemed a little bullheaded, a little, whatever you want to call it, but I wanted that train to leave the station to get this stuff moving. And so this is what we're looking at, and I think this is a way that, which is, by the way, I just want to emphasize, very, very atypical that you have a board that want to be this engaged. Okay? Most of them are content being the yes, no voting on there. The fact that they're willing to pick up these projects only goes to show the level of commitment and dedication they feel. And I think it probably goes a little bit beyond the scope of what they did as trustees, but it's a fantastic thing. And I think it's to be great for the township, you know, and the way they're set up, each chair can flex and do the way it's set up and do the program the way they want to. So there won't be that, I think we should do it this way, no, that way, which again is part of the reason why things don't get done in government, too much back and forth. This way they can go and they can take it off on their own. Data-driven financials, all that fun stuff. Okay, next. So again, from the township standpoint, we'll provide all the financials they need. We'll help with any of the engineering, the Lakeview, legal, we'll provide access to that, any procurement support, grants and publications, all that will be helped and given to each one of us from a chair standpoint. Expected deliverables is a clear defined scope. Okay, so let's please make sure we're clear on this point. When they come back with the presentation, it's not a foregone conclusion that's what's going to be done. Okay, they're going to come back with their recommendations, give their cost estimates, the funding strategies, the timelines, operation impacts, risks, and then ultimately their final recommendation. It is each of their responsibility, our responsibility to come back and do that and be able to present it not only to us up here, but to the residents as a whole. So, again, at the end of the day, it will be a collaborative effort from both the residents and the board ultimately as a group will be voting on whether yes or no on a project or with modifications. From a timeline standpoint, this is starting already. I've already talked to all of them. They've all agreed and they're excited to get going. Some of them have already started reaching out. The rest of them, I'm sure, will be very shortly to organize their little committees and figure out how they're going to go forward. We're going to have the continuous staff. Sometime in mid-June, I've asked every one of us to be able to come back and kind of give a, hey, this is what we've done over the last month or so. This is where we're coming at, what we're doing, where we think this is going, so on and so forth. So it will be part of a board meeting to give a quick update on each one of the different CIP projects and where they're at. Then ultimately, with the idea that probably the first board meeting in August, we will have the final recommendations and presentations. So I don't want to say I can control the agenda. I have a lot of influence. I don't have complete control over it, but that one will probably be very light in the standpoint from regular business. It'll be much more geared towards the CIP projects and presentations. So if you're curious of what's going to happen in the township, you're concerned about what's going on, you have passionate about certain things, that is one of those board meetings you're definitely going to want to put on the agenda to show up for. Okay? Again, no passive participation, not anyone here. We're going to have it in such a way that everybody's going to be able to see what's going on. So none of us are going to be able to sit back and kind of do nothing. And it's not that this is a problem with this board. We're going to have the commitment, the ownership, and ultimately with the idea that anything, decisions we made will be analytically driven, data driven, which I think one of the individuals said tonight, that was necessary in order to make the proper decisions. Okay? And that's it. I just wanted to throw it out there. There's no comments on this type of thing, so, but at the end of the time, this is where we're going. If you have projects, you now have directionally who's going to be engaged with that, chairing it, so please feel free to talk to them after this meeting if you need to or whatever. Okay. All right, next thing, carryover postponed agenda items. There aren't any consent agenda. We have a request to approve the Board of Trustees regular session meeting minutes of April 21st, 2026. Request to approve the April 28th, 2026 check run, including an ACH for $1,171,572.93. Ratify the April 24th, 2026 payroll for $352,750.16. And the March 2026 EFT ACH wire activity of $511,409.48, as well as request to approve the Brady Lodge rental with alcohol for Saturday, October 17th, 2026. A request to adopt resolution number 2026-012, which is the 2026 West Nile virus mosquito-borne disease CVT reimbursement program. Can I get a motion to approve the consent items as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Items to be removed from the consent agenda, there aren't any. Now we're going to get into the regular business. In the regular business, we will go through, we'll have a person come up. If whoever's sponsoring the item, they'll give you an overview of it, and then we'll send it out to the public for comments, bring it back up to the board, and then all have a discussion, and then ultimately vote on it. First one is request to approve planned residential development for permit conditions clarification agreement for phase 2 through 5 of Eagle Ridge at Morgan Lake. And for that, we don't have Megan here. Okay. Pardon me? Yeah, if you want to, I can read it. I can do it. Okay. So this particular item is I'll just read her description. The clarification agreement is needed to clarify the sequencing conditions under which Phase 3 of the Eagle Ridge at Morgan Lake PRD may proceed without the township relinquishing any rights under the permit condition. Specifically, the permit conditions requirement that the developer convey a viable community well site to the township. The test well and proposed well sites are located in the Phase 4 area, but the permit restriction applies to phases 2 through 5. The proposed agreement is intended to clarify and implement existing permit obligations rather than modify them, creating a sequence and a condition where permits for Phase 3 may be issued even though the well site has been dedicated. Under the proposed clarification agreement, no Phase 4 permits may be issued until the well site is formally dedicated and access is established in accordance with the agreement. So basically what we're saying is that we wanted a deeded property section of the subdivision to be able to put on a well for the township wellhead. And in the past, I believe this has not been done, and therefore it's been causing a lot of concerns and questions. And I guess there's been a couple of developers that have gone through this particular development phase, and we want to make sure that no matter what happens, that this is taken care of. And if I may call up Director McKee. I know you're a little bit more familiar with this than I am, so if you want to embellish on that a little bit.
Yeah, the agreement that you have is just exactly what Chuck, the supervisor, outlined for everyone there. The agreement was gone through with myself, legal counsel, and our township engineer. We went had some back and forth with the developer to make sure that our interests are covered, the township's interests covered. For example, if they were to ever develop Phase 4, where the well site is in, we have protections in here. There's also a two-year, I believe it's a two-year trigger, as you call it, Dan. So we're very comfortable with the agreement that you have before you tonight for approval.
Okay. Any public comments? Any online? All right, I'll bring it up to the board for discussion. Any comments or questions? Trustee Morocco?
Dan, can you answer some questions, please? So, I believe I was around through many of these phases that we talked about, and I'm not clear on the stipulation for them to get this, to get a PRO was, or the PRD, was that they had to give us, dedicate this well site and land prior to phase 2, which they've already built. So we did, that got passed. How is this, so I got, when I was going through reading all the documents, it talks about them within so many days, getting the language together and doing all that. What I don't understand is why they're not just complying with the PRD agreement in the first place, and why this hasn't been done originally like it was originally approved, and why the PRD is not being amended if they're not following the PRD agreement.
My understanding, and maybe Dave has a little bit more of the history, but because of where this well site would be located, and of course phase 4 site plan is not finished or completed, there'd have to be an access road built now that seems a little premature, if you will. And so rather than require that now, permits have been issued already for phase 2. Allow them to complete phase 2 under this agreement. We feel very comfortable that we're secure in getting all of the requirements done. We've added some timelines to this requirement, as you pointed out. So by the time, and they can't get to the other phases or get those permits issued or CFOs on those other phases until they finally put in this well site. So it sounds, is that accurate, Dave? That
I understand
we've
that,
made
but-
a reasonable accommodation to spread out the sequencing of the project that makes more sense for both parties.
But that wasn't the agreement to qualify for the PRD. The agreement was they'd put it in before phase 2 was done.
That's true.
And we didn't have phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4.
That's
So
right.
we knew in advance when we put the stipulation on them, when the planning commission put this on them and the township board voted to accept it, that there wasn't gonna be a road there, there wasn't gonna be an access there. Even before phase 2 was built, they were mandated to provide this prior to phase 2, prior to phase 3, prior to phase 4. And it just seems like now all of a sudden we let them slide on phase 2, now we're gonna let them slide on phase 3, and then they're gonna put it in when they finally get to the very end, but that was not the agreement. So I still don't understand how they're not complying with the PRD agreement, which would trigger them to amend the PRD agreement. This is outside the PRD agreement, and my concern is that when we have PUDs and PROs and PRDs, that if you don't follow the guidelines of what they did to qualify for them, and then they're modified later by this board under the opinion of township employees and engineers and not the elected officials, that I just think that we're getting way out of the weeds of enforcing the PRD as it was written. And we've already done it once, and now we're asking to do it again. And then, at some point, they're gonna comply with something that they were mandated to comply with 5 years ago. And they still haven't complied with it yet. I really don't care whether there's a road there or not, or that's not my problem. That was what they came to us and asked for the PRD. They offered to do this, and now they're not doing it, and they're still not doing it, and we keep granting them relief from it. And I don't think that that's right, and I don't understand why we're deviating and how we're getting around not amending the PRD. Those are my questions.
Okay, so to be clear, there's been no deviation until this board approves the deviation. So it's not the township employees or the township. In this particular circumstance, first of all, as you know, this project goes back, whatever it is, 15, 20 years. When those conditions were in place, they may very well have seemed to be reasonable at the time. It seems to me in this circumstance that there is no adverse impact to the township's interests to allow for this accommodation, to allow for the sequencing that this agreement now lays out, to put in timelines so that within certain timeframes this will be done, as opposed to requiring it based upon phases that don't make sense. Now, can we live by until, if this board takes the position we are not going to amend the PRD? Of course, that's your decision. We amend PRDs, PUD agreements all the time when it makes sense, and not to enforce them if there's no adverse impact to the township and there's some gain obtained from the township by the new agreement. In our opinion, this does it. As Dave's already indicated, it gives some clarity as to some of the other conditions, but ultimately it's up to the board to decide whether or not there's a balancing here.
I'm just concerned about the way that we're going about it, that we've already deviated from it once, and then what's the trigger for any other PRD or PRO or PUD down the road that someone goes, well, you know, it really isn't feasible for me to meet the obligation that I promised you when I got it approved in this era, in this you know, in this economy, in this, you know, I mean, I think that there's a process, and this is a big deviation, because the wellhead was what they were supposed to give us as part of the qualification to do the project, and we still haven't got the deliverable. And our problem isn't their financial situation or their hardship. Why is it different now after we gave them phase 2 as a free pass, phase 3, now phase 4? Is it that they can't financially afford to, but as soon as we give them phase 3 now, within so many days they're going to start to comply. Why didn't they start complying after phase 2 prior to phase 3? What's the delay of them? Now all of a sudden it's like, give us one more free pass, and then we're going to start putting together language and start putting together what we promised you 5 years ago. I don't agree with the fact that they're not being held accountable for what they agreed to. And if we are going to amend it, then I think that the board needs to cumulatively agree to change the stipulations in the PRD and change it to, so that they're in compliance with the PRD, not that we're just kind of working it out with them. You know, I think that's a slippery slope sometimes when we do that, in my opinion.
So are
I'll
you,
take the questions.
I was just asking, so are you suggesting to amend the PRD rather than just?
No, I'm not. I'm suggesting that they live by they do
Right.
what they
No, but
promised
you
us
say
that
if we're
they would
going-
do. But
but
if
what-
we were going to allow them to not put in the wellhead, I think that I would feel more comfortable if we followed the rules and amended the PRD.
Right.
Not that we just came up with a reasonable compromise outside the parameters of the PRD stipulations. That's what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question, clarify question? This does not allow them not, we're just giving land, they're just giving over the land at this point, aren't they? Isn't that what this is about?
Yes, they're
Okay.
dedicating the property for the
Dedicating,
wellhead.
they're not responsible for building the wellhead or anything else like that. That's on us, correct?
Well, they're putting it in, or we're gonna own it. I'm not quite sure who's putting in the wellhead.
We are.
Yeah,
So they're
okay.
just deeding the land over.
Yeah.
So there's no cost to them other than the fact that they lost that little section of land.
Yeah, my understanding is that it was not a financial burden that this request came out of. It was for the access road and the site plan that's not fully completed for phase 4, where this is ultimately gonna be located. That's my understanding. I think Megan has a little bit more understanding of the whole history here, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, and I apologize, I don't know why she's not here, so we found out one more, now guys, give to you. On the way it originally was written on the PRD, it said when phase 2 was completed, correct?
Yeah, that's mine.
Do we know if phase 2 is actually completed?
I believe there's still outstanding building permits
Okay,
for phase, so it's not completed.
what this is trying to do, and I don't disagree with this part of it, is that what it's saying is that, hey, look, we're done playing this game of completed, because you could sit there and not do 3 houses and leave it uncompleted, and we can move on, move on, move on. This is saying, nope, you fooled us once on that one, so we're not gonna do it again, so we're gonna put the stake in the ground and say, you have this much time to get it, and I don't think there's a problem with them deeding this over, if I remember correctly, from the last time we talked to them. So,
No.
Well, let me make one correction. The PRD expressively expressly prohibits issuance of any building permits for Phase 2, which is already completed, Phase 3, Phase 4, until such time that a viable well site is dedicated to the township. Like you're saying, not built, dedicated. Based on that,
You're reading from the original PRD agreement.
I'm reading, actually, I'm reading from an opinion that you gave last August.
Okay.
Is what
That's
I-
from the original, but I'm just saying that that language comes out of the original, not the amended agreement.
Well-
I don't know what you're
And-
reading
Well,
from.
you know what, let me tell you
Yeah.
another reason why I don't think we should, I even don't like, we don't have the PRD agreement, our packet's, again, incomplete. We don't even know what the PR agreement is, it wasn't provided to the board members. So I'm going off of stuff I could scrounge up online and legal opinions that you've provided in the past. I can only go off of what documents I could find on my own after the submittal, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm saying that I know that they weren't even supposed to do Phase 2, and if all they have to do is dedicate the property, I don't understand what the problem is prior to Phase 2 being allowed to be built and prior to Phase 3 being allowed, but just dedicate the property. What is the problem? What's different now than the 30 or 60 days we're giving them after we allow them to pull permits to do their paperwork? Why don't they just do it now?
You know what, I'm gonna make a motion that we table this, and so we can get a little bit more clarification from Megan and to be able to get the original PRD agreement. Because I agree with you, it should be in the packet. Should've been.
Yeah, and I'll be brief because I understand I support tabling this wholeheartedly. Support your sentiments completely, though I'm not as technically aware of all the details. I share Trustee Morocco's sentiments. I was going to bring that same piece up, that we don't have the supporting documents to compare the old with the new. That's problematic. And the question I do want to ask is, this is nothing close to a clarification agreement, in my view. This is well beyond clarification. This is a modification, a rewrite, whatever you want to call it, in my eyes. That being said, why isn't this, and I'm a little frustrated that we have township staff and our township attorney and using those resources to do the bidding of the developer, who frankly should be here explaining and answering these questions. Why isn't this going before the Planning Commission, who we entrust to make sound decisions? And if they in aggregate believe that this is warranted, then let the Planning Commission make that recommendation and bring it before the board. But I'm really, more so than Megan not being here, frustrated that we don't have the developer here answering these questions while you're just kind of postulating as to hypotheticals here, and that's not fair to either of you. So I'll leave it at that.
Treasurer Brown, I'm sorry, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you still have a comment or no?
Not anything that hasn't already been said, so.
Okay. All right, so we're just gonna table.
Can make a motion to table,
I don't
make
think
a
we need
motion.
a
You don't have
motion.
to make a
It's just-
motion?
no.
Okay.
We just don't take action.
okay.
Okay, let's move on to L2. L2 is request to approve the 2026 budget amendment number 10, Sashbaugh Drain Maintenance Fund. And this is brought forth by Director of the DPW, Dave McKee, and you see you up there.
Good evening, everyone. This is a request to adopt the budget amendment number 10 for the Sashbaugh Drain Maintenance Fund. I'd like to make a couple corrections right away on the MAFE here. The first part is on the second paragraph, or the second line, it says Sashbaugh Creek Drain. It should be Sashbaugh Regional Drain. I wanted to make that clarification on that. The Sashbaugh Maintenance Drain Fund is a restricted fund established to account for the ongoing maintenance of the Sashbaugh Regional Drain, which is currently owned and operated by Independence Township. We've been in the process of looking at transferring the responsibility of the drain to the Water Resources Commissioners, and things went very slow with them last year, so this budget amendment is to, I didn't pull the funds that we had in last year's budget forward into the 26 budget. This will take care of that. This budget amendment is going to take care of that. So until that process, if it ever happens, we do have funds available to maintain the drain and to for maintenance and for maintenance with the drain itself and the expenditures to ensure the continued maintenance of the drain system, essentially. We don't have any money in there. It's an enterprise fund. It's not a general fund. The drain fund is actually an enterprise fund like water and sewer. So the money that we have in there is dedicated strictly for that only. So it's not an amendment to the general fund budget or anything like that. The funds are just being pulled forward, and it's a nominal amount, really. It's about $14,000.
Any questions or comments from the audience? No? Online? No? Bring it up to the board. Trustee Morocco?
Dave, quick question on the transfer of responsibility of the drain.
Mhm.
Is that a benefit to us having the county in charge of that drain? Because I
So-
know that's a pretty important drain for us, and
Oh, absolutely. We're looking into to see if we're going to do it or not. It's a possibility of it. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, the Department of Public Works for Independence Township is not geared to maintain a drain of that size. We're geared towards water and sewer, safety path. So is it better if the county took care of it? Absolutely. They have a whole building and a staff that takes care of that stuff. And if moving forward, if I may be so bold to just tell you, we're kind of try to petition the county to take the drain over as a Chapter 20 drain. So in a Chapter 20 drain, they provide broader public benefit and single property or neighborhood. Long-term maintenance is all done through the county. And with the Drain Act and going through Oakland County, they can raise funds to maintain it and take care of it much better than we can. And that's the truth.
can I, go ahead.
Treasurer Brown?
I think a number of the times we've had to take some actions on those drains, we actually just contracted it out anyways, correct?
Almost everything, Paul.
we're not-
Almost everything we do, because we just don't, we're not staffed or have the equipment to do that.
Follow-up question.
All right. Well, let's ask anybody else. Anybody else have any questions? Trustee Now Matthew?
I just have one about when did this process start? How long is it taking, and could we be talking about this again in 27? I mean, are they gonna jump on board quickly, or how long? I mean, it is county. Is it just gonna take whenever they feel like taking it over?
So to petition the county for a Chapter 20 drain, there's some steps that we have to take. We have to submit a formal petition, which would come before the board, of course, for all of that, I believe. They review it. They would tell us that this needs to be done before you can, before they'll even consider it. Engineering study. So that process, that does take some time. We can get it done this year. I believe we can. We've been in contact with them to, help them guide us along so we don't waste our resources or our time, really, to see if this is a viable option. But we do believe we'd like to pursue it, to find out where we stand. So it can get done with this year, if it goes that way.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like to make a comment that we have been working on this for 4 or 5 months now. Without a doubt, we had them come out, take a preliminary look at it. We walked the whole system with them, them being the Oakland County and their engineers. There are things that are gonna have to be done. We can't give them a broken system, so to speak, so they want it to be in a certain state before they take it on. So which is part of the reason why we're also moving this money back over to where it's supposed to be. This is just unspent dollars, again, bringing it over. We anticipate we're gonna have to have some repairs that we're gonna have to do to it before they'll take it on. The advantage, again, as Director McKee was saying, is that we don't have the equipment to deal with this. And I don't know if you guys have ever walked it and understand all the different intricacies that are involved with this particular drain system. I mean, it's big. It goes for all the way from just on the other side of 75 all the way down to Townsend Lake. I mean, it's a big system. And there's a lot of moving, no pun intended, moving parts in there because it deals with the water. We're just not capable of handling it all. And, from their standpoint, they have much better engineers and everything else. So that's kind of the intent. Well, we do know that we're going to have to spend some money to fix the system up because it's been a little neglected. We do have the ability to level an SAD on it. We can do it, or the county can do it. If we do it, it's probably going to be more because we're going to have to out-contract stuff out. We don't have the stuff in-house. They have some stuff in-house to be able to handle it. So we thought it would make more sense that way, just to kind of bring it all together. We've been working on it for, like I said, probably 3 or 4 months now with Carlisle. who actually, as he likes to so proudly say, he started off his whole career as a drain commissioner, and so he's very familiar with all the needs here. Yes.
So Dave, follow up. So we've been maintaining the Sashbaugh drain. Now,
Correct.
let me ask you this question, and this is gonna go into Dave's field of stormwater, probably. If the county takes over the drain, and I know that, you know, there's a lot of bleeders and things that go into the drain, that collect into that drain, and because this is kind of a special, unique drain, when the county takes over, because we don't usually get into stormwater management of the private communities, would our residents, would the retention ponds of our residents who are bleeding into the Sashbaugh drain, and if they were, this was for Belinda and she's leaving.
She's right there.
Okay.
She knows.
Okay, and so we know that we've got a silt problem and a water sheeting problem, and we're not holding as much water in some of the retention ponds that haven't been maintained. My question would be, is if the county takes over now, would part of their, because it wasn't our thing, because we're not in the stormwater, will they look at those retention ponds that bleed into the Sashbaugh drain and want to make sure that part of their due diligence would be that those ponds are holding the water that they're supposed to be, so they're not sheeting into the drain? And would that in turn somewhat help the management of at least our, township ponds that go into the Sashbaugh drain, under which the county wouldn't normally go bother with, but because they take over the drain, would they then be a little bit more diligent and pay more attention to the things that feed into it and their maintenance, or no? Would you?
No,
think?
they would. They most definitely would. Matter of fact, the county's drain standards.
But I'm going to interrupt because that's not what this motion's about.
That's true.
Okay, so.
Well, I know, but I only get so many times to ask them about it. I mean.
Well, we're going to be bringing it back to the board ultimately when it comes time to decide
Okay,
whether or
well,
not.
I'm
to
getting
vote.
my answer, so that's
Okay,
fine,
all right.
Yeah.
So the motion is still whether to allow the budget amendment to carry the funds forward from last year to this year. Is there any other questions related to that aspect of this? If there's not, can I get a motion then, please?
I'll move to approve the 2026 budget amendment number 10 for the Sashbaugh Drain Maintenance Fund to include expenditure appropriations and establish spending authority for maintenance activities associated with the Sashbaugh Road Drain in accordance with the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next one is again brought forward by our Department of
Public Works.
Thank you.
That guy.
Yep, that dude up there. Dave McKee, and this is a request to approve participation in the Oakland County contract with Pipeline Management Sanitary Sewer Prevention Maintenance Service and accept the quote for a 10-year term.
The DPW's, so I want to make it clear, so I wrote a lot of stuff down here. DPW requests approval for a 10-year contract with Pipeline Management to perform preventive maintenance on the township's sanitary sewer systems. These maintenance tasks include cleaning, inspecting, grading, documenting sewer pipes and manholes to ensure asset management and regulatory compliance. Our maintenance plan uses the grading system that we based it on the 2017 SAW grant. I know I've explained that, where a piece of pipe is video inspected and it is graded essentially from grade of 1 to being brand new to 5 being you have some issues, you need to repair those. Our whole system is going to be done that way. And that is it's called the NASCO PACP, and essentially what that is the North American Standard for Coding and Grading Sewer Pipe Conditions using CCTV inspections. It provides a uniform system to identify, classify, and score structural operations and maintenance and construction-related defects so utilities can consistently evaluate pipe condition and prioritize repairs. We've been using pipeline management way before I came here. I've been here 11 years now, and pipeline management has done an outstanding job. The thing that they do the best is these inspections. They have trained personnel, they have staff that does it, they have certified staff that does that. They've been doing it for us for my whole time here and prior to that. So the way the regulations are with the state of Michigan and our asset management plan and accountability, there's so much more regulation and so much more documentation that we need to do, that to do this in-house, we'd have to spend $1 million at least on new equipment and hire at least probably 4 more people. It's not cost effective. This is what these folks do. So I thought it would be a good idea to get the Oakland County contract that Pipeline Management has with the contract Pipeline Management has with Oakland County, the Water Resource Commission, for these exact services, and see if they would stretch that out. So, meaning for 10 years, because the goal is to get the whole township TV'd, CCTV'd, and surveyed in 10 years, every single piece of pipe we have. And then once that's over, you start over. It's just, I keep using the analogy a lot of department head meetings that you're painting the Mackinac Bridge. You're painting the bridge. You're done, you start over. And you just keep inspecting it. You have to do that. And you have to do this, or we could be liable for such things as sewer backups. There's a state statute called Public Act 222, which essentially there's 5 things in that act that if the township or a municipality fails to do, then you could be liable for sewer backup if somebody makes a claim. We don't want to do that. We don't want anybody to have backups, and that's part of what this is, a preventative maintenance piece too, because it is a cleaning and CCTV and inspections. So as they go through and do the inspections, they will let us know if they say, hey, you have a big problem right here. I've been to the board before, and Paul remembers quite a few, or I had videos of just water just pouring into a pipe, just groundwater, just 100 gallons, an hour, easy. We have to fix that right away. So there's some pipe integrity problems there. That's the wonderful thing about Pipeline Management, is that they will let us know that. We budget for repairs, and we can take care of those right away. Because all our sewage is based on flow, how much we flow to the county. It's flow-based billing. That's how much we get when we get our bill every month for $350,000 for sewage disposal only, it's based on how much water goes through their meters. So we want to make sure that that's taken care of. Pipe integrity, keep people from getting backups. Make sure there's no roots, no incrustations. Pipe sags, we replace them if we have to. That's what these folks do. So to leverage Oakland County's cooperative purchasing agreement, I asked if Pipeline Management would give us a 10-year contract with today's prices. Essentially, the contract they have right now, that's what the yearly price in your packet is for. This price will stay this way for 10 years. It will not change. So I find that to be quite amazing in today's day and age. The issue that we wanted to make sure is that with the cooperative purchasing agreement in this contract, it's actually longer than Oakland County's contract. So we ran it through Dan's office to make sure that everything can comply with the procurement policy for the township, and we took the appropriate steps to make sure that it does. In your packet, you should have Appendix E that is signed by the township supervisor and with the clerk for exceptions to it, because there'd be no material advantage if we just went out and did this on our own. Oakland County already did it. And we're holding the prices for 10 years straight. No increase. So with that, I'm here to see if the board would approve the 10-year contract.
Okay. Any comments from the audience? No? Okay. Online? Nope. Okay. Bring it up to the board. Treasurer Brown?
Dave, you know me, and I always like to think of it from the public's perspective. If you're in the township and hearing about what's going to be spent, these funds are only going to be paid for by essentially folks who utilize the sewer system.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right. So if you're on water but don't have sewer, you don't pay for this. If you're on sewer, it's included in the price of your quarterly sewer payment, and it's designed to not let that bill go up too high because of leakage into the system, and it's required. If you're on water only and not on sewer, you would not be participating, because these are things that our director runs at like its own business. The sewer and the water is run like its own business. They are separate. And I just like to kind of throw that out for folks.
I appreciate
who may be
that, Paul. Thank you. That's absolutely 100% accurate.
Any other questions or comments? No, I do want to just reiterate again that the director and I did sit down and go through, and I was trying to advocate for why we should buy the camera ourselves and bring it in the house and do it all ourselves and everything else, and the math just didn't work. Couldn't make it work. So in this particular case, I would agree with them 100%, it needs to be outsourced. So with that, we have two motions. First one is to approve the participation in the Oakland County contract. Can I get a motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion to approve participation in Oakland County Contract 011676 with Pipeline Management Company LLC for sewage disposal, maintenance, and repair services pursuant to Section 1.6 of the Township's procurement policy, authorize execution of the cooperative purchasing opt-in form, and authorize the Township Supervisor to execute any related documents necessary to effectuate participation in the contract.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
That was a
Next, we have a
new
motion to
word
accept
for
the
me there.
quotation for the pipeline management.
That was a new
I'm
word.
going to
All right.
accept the quotation from Pipeline Management Company LLC for sewer cleaning and inspection services for a 10-year term at a not-to-exceed annual amount of $365,000 as set forth in the quotation, and authorize the township supervisor to execute any documents necessary to effectuate the contract.
Nicely done.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I appreciate
Who
it.
seconded that?
It was down there, I heard it down there.
Jim did.
Oh, it was Jim.
Jim, okay, thank you.
It's a new
L4.
word, it's a new word I learned.
I like it.
I was thinking about effectuate, I didn't hear who seconded it.
L4, which again is being brought forward by our DPW Director, Ian McKee, which is a request to approve cross-connection inspection services by HydroCorp of Troy, Michigan.
Okay, this is not a very popular subject, but this is a mandate from the state of Michigan. So I'll just recap a little bit. As the board is aware, the township is required to maintain an active cross-connection control program in compliance with the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes, and Energy, EGLE, regulations and Michigan Plumbing Code. In February 17th of 2026, the board approved the township's updated cross-connection control plan and formally adopted that plan by resolution. That should be in your packet. This plan establishes how the township must identify, inspect, document, and report cross-connection hazards within the water distribution system. Since adoption of the plan, Eagles has expanded enforcement expectations to include residential service connections.
Oh, yeah.
In addition to commercial, industrial, and institutional facilities. These expanded requirements significantly increase inspection volume, compliance tracking, and reporting obligations. To implement the board-approved plan, the Department of Public Works issued a request for proposals on March 25th, 2026. Proposals was publicly opened on April 9th, 2026 in accordance with township procurement policy. HydroCorp was the only firm to submit a proposal. Their bid was reviewed and determined to be complete and responsive and fully complies with the township and Eagle's approved cross-connection plan. The proposed contract term is for 3 years at an annual cost of $89,044.50 for a total not to exceed amount for the 3 years of $267,133.50 over the full contract term. HydroCorp has provided cross-connection services to the township since 2017, during which time the township has remained in full Eagle compliance with no violations. Outsizing these services continues to be a more cost-effective and lower risk than administrating the expanded program in-house. Department of Public Works requests your support in awarding the contract for cross-connection inspection services for Independence Township to HydroCorp.
Any questions or comments from the audience? All right, bring it up to the online. No, okay, I'll bring it up to the board. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, I'm going to.
Yes, sir.
Director McKee knows this is one of my least favorite things that the state government approved. Just so we're clear, that what this is doing is that if you have a sprinkler system, if you're on the city water, like if I'm township water, that an inspector will be coming to your house and inspecting. Fortunately, as it stands right now, it's just on the outside of the property, if I'm not mistaken, correct? All spigots and sprinklers?
Yes, I can run a scenario and a frequency of inspection, kind of give you a scenario.
Yeah, please do it.
I brought it down here, so. Supervisor File started it off. The designated agent will identify all outside hose bibs, lawn irrigation system, wells, pools, spas, and any other water source connected to the potable water system. Now, one thing I would like to mention on that is the building department really wants this information as well to make sure, so they know who's got connecteds for sprinkler systems or other things of that nature. Internal inspections will only occur during meter maintenance, which our department takes care of. If we replace the meter, we just do a visual inspection to make sure there's no cross connections. A lot of people have softeners. A softener is a good cross connection potential. So it's just a visual inspection. Make sure that the drain tube is not underwater and it is this far above the floor drain, because that's usually where they go, or a deep sink. So we're not going to be rifling through your house or looking in your back of your toilet or your ice maker in your refrigerator, which in the early stages that was on Eagle's list of things to do. And they will use the inspection form. Now, if they do find something on the outside, on your hose bib outside, that's going to be the biggest ones they hit. They're going to give you, the homeowner, it's a little backflow device. You screw it on there and you just tighten it up with a screwdriver, and now you're in compliance. But it'll give us an inventory of what they have, or what homes in the township has backflow devices, sprinkler systems, and all that, which we have to report on to Eagle. This is anything that's connected to public water supply like that. And that's going to be done, approximately 10% of everything our customers have to be inspected every year, which is about 600, between commercial and residential and all that. So that's why this is another big animal that we just can't do in-house. All other residentials accounts will be inspected once every 10 years based on their risk of, or degree of risk. So if you have a sprinkler system, you're probably going to get looked at every year, because that sprinkler device, that backflow device that you have outside your house, that needs to be inspected in working order yearly. You know what happens with plumbing and copper in the wintertime with water in it. It freezes and breaks. If this isn't working, there's the potential for a backflow. It's the whole purpose of this program, to protect the public drinking water. If you don't have anything, you won't see anybody for another 10 years. And they're just going to come back 10 years later, just do another visual inspection on the outside.
And the other great thing is that the state mandated this.
Absolutely.
But did not give us a dime to take care of it, so the 267,000 is coming out of our pockets.
That's a fact. That is 100% correct.
Okay.
I have a question real quick.
Now you do, okay.
Well, because he was talking about the backflow preventers, that's where I was going, because I
Yep.
know that we have to put them on all the homes we build.
Yep.
The question is, are they going to supply those for free and just install them while they're on site, or what's the procedure to have those installed on older homes?
So if it's just an outside spigot, they'll give you one.
Are they
Up
going
to
to put
4.
it? Are they going to put it on there for you, or do they leave them on the porch? Because I mean, they got that breakable.
Yeah.
So the way that they're made is when you install them, there's a nut that you tighten and the head shears off, so they can't be untightened. So it's a one-time application.
And have you put those in before?
I have.
Can we give him folks his phone number? He'll
Yeah,
come
I'll
by
come in and show you how to, I'm just asking because a lot of residents may not know even that's how you would
Yeah.
properly install it, and then it can't be removed later. So it's a one-time deal when you put them on.
Yeah, that's a good question, Sam. When the inspectors are there, usually somebody's there. Somebody will come out, or because they announce, they don't start walking around who's out there walking around my house. They announce themselves. They're going to be fully ID'd, badged up. Representative of the township, and all of that. And we'll even start letting people know that inspections are starting. They have a wonderful website that people can go to and get more information. If you have a commercial business, you have to have your backflow device tested every year, depending on what type of business it is. But if you're a morgue or a funeral home, they're tested every year, and these folks will make sure that it happens. On the residential side, to get back to your question about the backflow devices, they're going to give them to them. They're going to hand them to you. Screw it on there, and they'll probably do it. They'll just screw it right on there, and
But just for the spigots.
just for the outside spigots, yeah. If there's an issue inside the house, they notate that.
Right.
They'll say you have a potential cross connection here. You got to fix that, and let us know when it's fixed. Then they come out and re-inspect it. There's no charge to them for the re-inspections or anything. This is all part of the program.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No? Can I get a motion then, please?
I'll move to accept the proposal received from HydroCorp Incorporated of Troy, Michigan for professional services associated with the Independence Township Cross Connection Program as outlined in the agreement for $89,044.50 annually for 3 years, and direct the supervisor to sign the contract agreement as the authorized representative of the township.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that's it for regular business. Next is closed session. Thank you. Budget session or study session, there isn't any communication, future agenda items and reports. We have the minutes from the Open Space Advisory Committee from March 9, 2026, Video Center Administrative Board, February 18, 2026, and we have the communication for Clarkson Independence Deer Lake Beach lease. And board comments. Any comments from the board? Closing comments.
I just wanted a question about the, my fault, I didn't read the thing about the Deer Lake Beach. Is that contract signed? Are we all good to
Yep.
go on that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I don't, thank you. I didn't see that.
Yep. Any other board member comments?
I would just like to, I'm excited about moving forward with the CIP project. And now, I'm not trying to show anybody up, but I've already got mine started because I know that flooding is an important problem, and there's a lot of people in the township that have, that are dealing with that. And I know Belinda's here, she's one of the persons on the committee, and we do have 3 committee members, but we are looking for a couple of more, so, and contact me. I'm ready to help you.
Awesome, awesome. And I appreciate you taking that on. I mean, I know that that's probably one of the #1 calls I get for complaints over the last year. And it is a nightmare of a maze to try to work through all the different government entities. So anything I can do to help, please let me know. So in the end, I guess, it's a good thing, right? We got the drains addressed. We've got the CTVs. We also passed the sewer contracts and all that from McKee. So I would say it's a great meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Move to adjourn?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll support it, Paul.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.